Freshmen at CU Boulder are moving in and starting their college journeys, but police are focused on solving a crime after a sexual assault on campus last night.
It's now been more than 2 years since 5 people died in a deadly Green Valley Ranch arson. Well, now there's a new lawsuit being filed as one of the defendants is headed to trial.
2 weeks ago, Kansas voters overwhelmingly voted to defend abortion rights, but thanks to a fundraising effort, that vote is headed for a recount.
And a federal judge hearing arguments regarding the release of the affidavit tied to the FBI raid on Mar-a-Lago. Right now, the judge seems up for making at least part of that information public. We start at 5 o'clock with Aurora police in the third hour now of a standoff with a fugitive. That's in a home near 19th and Akron. Police from Aurora and Denver are out there. Police have yet to publicly identify who they're looking for. They do say that he has 2 arrest warrants, one for escape, another for being a felon in possession of a firearm.
A shelter in place is still active for people living on Akron between 19th and Montview. Police say they made contact briefly by phone for the person they're trying to reach. Now they're making announcements asking that person to surrender. We will continue to follow the story for any updates.
We turn to Boulder, where CU freshmen are moving in as we speak, but at the same time, police are focused on solving a crime. CU Boulder police say they're looking for a young man accused of sexually assaulting a student.
This happened inside a freshman dorm room late last night. Here's 9 News reporter Noel Brennan.
The chaos of move-in week seems under control at CU Boulder.
This is all we got left for parking.
But on Thursday, there's added caution.
Students might see an increased police presence. It doesn't mean there's anything to be alarmed about. It just means we're being vigilant.
Late Wednesday night, CU Boulder police took a report of a sexual assault at a freshman dorm.
The victim reported that the suspect had knocked on her residence hall door. She opened the door and the suspect proceeded to take her by the neck and sexually assault her in the residence hall.
Police are now looking for a young man. They couldn't say whether he belonged in the co-ed dorm that can only be accessed with an ID card.
What we're trying to stress is to be aware of your surroundings at all times. You know, use the buddy system. Look out for each other.
I mean, certainly things like that can't hurt, but it's not always going to help.
Janine Deanabal is director of Moving to End Sexual Assault, a resource center for survivors that often works with CU students.
I think the conversations we need to be having is do not commit sexual assault. We start young, talking to boys and men predominantly about what it means to have consent, what it means to treat people respectfully, and how to have accountability when those things don't happen at a young age so that it doesn't escalate to this.
A crime now on the minds of students and parents during move-in week.
The fact that it took place kind of, in a pretty public setting, right? In a residence hall is a little out of the norm as well.
And you're going to back up for me?
If chaos can be managed, so can a conversation about sexual assault.
Sexual assault happens when a perpetrator walks into the scene, and that's what we have to work to prevent.
CU Boulder police are investigating right now, and they're taking a look at surveillance video from inside the dorm. There's also a tip line anyone with information can call, and that's 303-492-4469. CU Boulder declined to talk on camera today, but they did share a number of resources for people impacted by sexual assault. And guys, you can find those resources on 9news.com right now.
Yeah, the university does a good job, all universities, about warning students. But this is something that you parents need to talk about at length before you send a kid off to college.
Yeah, and have those conversations early because it can make a difference. And, you know, it's just a terrible thing to happen anytime, but to happen when students are moving in, starting their college careers, it's just an awful thing.
It's such an important life moment, and classes haven't even started. So, all right, thank you, Noel.
It was a grisly crime more than 2 years ago, an arson fire that killed 5 people in a Green Valley Ranch home. Now a man who lost his wife and infant daughter is suing the 3 teens who stand charged in the case. Prosecutors say those teenagers actually set the wrong house on fire while trying to get revenge on a person who had robbed one of them. The lawsuit also names the suspect's parents for not supervising the children. The suit also names the homeowner who escaped the fire safely. The suit claiming he did not maintain a reasonably safe environment in the event of a fire.
No, it seems like they've named a lot of defendants, and that's not necessarily unusual in this case because you don't know who may have liability. And so the sort of common theme is just sue everybody and then remove people later.
Well, at this point, the lawsuit does not have a dollar amount attached to it, and the lawyer who submitted it did not return our calls for comment today.
Thousands of people in Colorado are on a wait list for the monkeypox vaccine. The Colorado Department of Public Health and Environment, or CDPHE, shared that information today as they see the case rates continue to rise. 9 News reporter Jaleesa Rosari joins us now from the newsroom. And Jaleesa, it sounds like more vaccines are coming our way.
Yeah, this morning the White House announced an additional 1.8 million doses of the monkeypox vaccine are now available for states to actually order. And vaccine providers have administered more than 3,500 doses here in Colorado. CDPHE says they are focusing on giving out vaccines in the Denver metro area where a majority of community spread is being reported. Colorado has 168 cases so far. 6 of those people had to be hospitalized. The chief medical officer for Denver Health says while monkeypox is not as transmissible as COVID, people should still remain vigilant.
There's reason for concern for monkeypox because we're seeing an increase in infections. But the reason we're concerned and paying attention is because we have an opportunity that I think was much greater than we had with COVID to actually control it. So that's the reason we're talking to you and the reason we want to get this message out.
While there are several thousand people currently on that vaccine list, wait list, CDPHE did say that count has increased by people signing up in multiple places. That said, the state is continuing to expand the access to vaccines across the state. Kim?
Okay, well, we'll follow that because we definitely need more. Thank you, Jaleesa. A federal judge says he is inclined to ultimately unseal portions of the affidavit justifying the FBI search of the home of former President Donald Trump. He did order the Justice Department to choose what sensitive information to redact. Judge Bruce Reinhardt heard arguments from media organizations who have pressed for the affidavit's release because of public interest. The Trump legal team has not formally joined that push, despite Trump and his allies making public demands. The Justice Department argued the release would significantly compromise its ongoing criminal investigation into the former president's handling of sensitive documents and also put key witnesses at risk.
And former Trump White House advisor Peter Navarro is asking a federal judge to dismiss his criminal contempt of Congress case. The charges brought against Navarro after he failed to comply with a subpoena from the House January 6th committee. The motion was filed last night, Navarro arguing that DOJ policy shields advisors to the president from congressional demands for testimony, and such immunity extends beyond that advisor's tenure. Ex-Trump advisor Steve Bannon made similar arguments in a very unsuccessful bid to get his case dismissed. Bannon convicted of contempt last month. Navarro's case set for September 23rd.
9 Kansas counties have started a hand recount of the abortion amendment vote from earlier this month. A private citizen paid nearly $120,000 to fund the recount. More than 256,000 ballots from more than 550 precincts in Kansas' largest county will be counted. The deadline to get it done is Saturday. Election officials in the state's smaller counties have already completed their recount.
Brazilian federal police have accused that nation's president of committing a crime by spreading misinformation about COVID-19. It's part of an ongoing Supreme Court investigation of the president's role in the pandemic. Police say there are indications that President Jair Bolsonaro committed a crime in a live social media broadcast in October. In that broadcast, Bolsonaro falsely claimed that people who've been vaccinated against COVID-19 have a higher risk of contracting AIDS. He also suggested that wearing masks helped spread the Spanish flu last century. Bolsonaro has continuously denied spreading false information, but has yet to comment on this latest police report. Less than 50 days to go until Denver's largest beer festival returns. Now we're finding out how many Colorado breweries are going to be making an appearance at the big event.
Japan has seen a drop in alcohol sales since the COVID-19 pandemic, and now the country is trying to convince young people to drink more.